Gear Supreme. Raiders of resale, living the dream. From whatnot to eBay, we score the loot. Vintage finds in every pursuit. Tips to cash in, stories so grand. Reselling raiders, rulers of the land. Reselling raiders, treasure we chase. Hathouse fired up, coaching the race. Vintage hat shirts, golf gear supreme. Raiders of resale, living the dream. Tune in, hear the lore. Reselling raiders, always more.
Bam. Hey guys, welcome back to the Hat House and the Reselling Raiders podcast. I'm Hat House, joined by Coach Porch and Fired Up Finds. Tonight we're going to deep dive into holiday strategies. Definitely going to talk about the 4th of July, which is coming up. And as always, we want to hear from you guys. So please make sure you get into the chat. If you're out there in the Instagram land or the Facebook land, get over to the YouTube land if you're here for live and hit us up in the chat. We love to hear from you guys, interact with y'all, and talk about what y'all want to talk about too. I do want to thank everybody that is downloading this on podcast. Make sure you hit us with a 5-star review over there. We'd really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have a milestone soon. We're coming up on 1,000 downloads on the podcast world, so that's gonna be really exciting, really awesome.
Oh yeah, dude. That makes me tingle.
Huge, yeah,
World's
huge
exciting.
shout out to our boys in South Korea that's downloading us.
Dude,
Love you
those
in
are my
South
guys.
Korea.
I
Yeah.
love K-pop, dude.
K-pop is the
I absolutely love K-pop.
one of their bands is back on tour now. They were out for a while, but they're back.
Yeah, the boys had to serve their military.
Yeah.
Is that what they did?
Yeah,
They came back from the military and they're getting their
Yeah.
K-pop back on. So
getting back in. Yeah,
shout out to Seoul. We love you guys there too. So really appreciate everybody downloading there. Hit us with the review and then hit us with the comments of what you'd like to hear on the next episode. But you know how we always started here. We definitely got a new sponsor this week. And wouldn't you know it, just in time for the 4th of July, we got Nathan's Hot Dogs.
Dude, Glizzy.
Yo, Raiders, we have a red hot plug for our sponsors, Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs. Tomorrow's the 4th of July when the Coney Island Hot Dog Eating Contest goes down, and former champs like Joey Chestnut's going to slam 70 glizzies like it's his American birthright. What's in a Nathan's glizzy? Beef, pork, a pinch of patriotic mystery. Who really knows? And that's the rush. Every bite's a treasure hunt for your taste buds. Grab a Nathan's for your barbecue. Use code Raiders to get your hands on some mystery meat today. Tell him Mike sent you. He's our resident double-fisting hot dog champ who once ate 2 glizzies at one time, saluting the flag on the back of a fire truck. Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs, America's mystery meat. Get ready to grill.
that guy.
Yeah,
right
boys, listen, I got that wide. Listen, I'll tell you right now, I got that wide throat, dude. I take him down like no other. Okay.
Have you
Had
ever
I
been in a
chosen
hot
different-
dog eating contest?
No, but had I chosen a different career path, I'd be champ. I'd be all time.
I always
Joey
actually-
wouldn't have a chance.
Yeah,
No.
you could
Joey
double
wouldn't have
fist
a
it like a champ, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, 100%.
This guy
100%.
right here.
Sometimes
Look
I
at his
put him down
hand.
sideways just for fun.
Do you think?
Look at his
would you-
hand.
yeah. Would you be the water guy? Would you be the guy that has to stick it in the water first and then eat it? Have you
Dude,
seen him do
I have-
that?
Yeah, dude, I have so much saliva. Like my mouth is just overflowing with saliva. So yeah, I'm good.
So you're plenty moist.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you right now, dude, I'm like wet and wild all the time. Sometimes I just have to spit it out because it's like this getting too much. So,
Right.
I'd be fine. I'll tell you what,
I'd
I would be
imagine.
champ of. I'd be champ of the non-water dunking hot dog eating championship. For sure.
There you go.
Yeah, raw dog or
Tony,
not
Tony,
dog.
Tony,
You know what I
hey,
mean?
I don't want to dip it in water. Put some beer down there. Let me dip it into beer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So everybody knows who Joey Chestnut is, I guess.
Hell yeah, dude. Dude,
Infamous.
legend. Yeah, dude's an absolute
If you
legend.
don't Google him, if you don't,
Up there,
just Google him.
up there. He's just, as red as the sun, sweating. Just. Ugh.
What time is the hot dog eating contest tomorrow? Y'all know what time that comes on?
I normally just catch it on Instagram.
You just catch it. You
Yeah.
get TiVoed?
Yeah, I just catch the freaking highlights.
Well, we do have.
Well, the women are at 10:45 on ESPN3, and followed by the men at noon on ESPN2.
So it starts at
ESPN2.
noon.
They can't even get the big time ESPN. What else they got to do at noon tomorrow? Is Pat McAfee still on or something?
Who knows?
Can't even push Pat McAfee for the hot dog eating contest?
Yeah, one time a year. Hey,
Apparently.
Pat, I need you on the back burner for 5 minutes, dude.
Joey Chestnut.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, dude. That's so awesome.
Apparently
Oh,
not.
shit. Dude, how was your guys' week? We did get a couple updates of Rob's trip in the group in the group text. So
Yep.
I think, oh yeah, dude. Swung by. Hell yeah. Hey, did you
Where I
put a
got the
couple
lid.
pieces to the side, dude? Like of
To where I got the lid.
some stuff that you found? Or are they all mixed in the racks behind you?
They are definitely mixed in the racks behind me.
Mixed in? How many
Oh, yeah.
how many total items did you source?
This weekend, the past 2
Yeah.
days alone,
Yeah, 2 days.
probably about. I'm gonna go on 75.
That's nice.
75.
And that was all en route to what you were planning on doing, correct?
Well, I mean, that was kind of the plan. My wife and I wanted to go to our favorite restaurant at the beach. And there's 3 really good stores along the way, like in each town, each of the big towns. And then when we got there, we ate, and then we went up the highway, coastal highway, and then we came back. Like, there's 2 ways you can get to Ocean City, Maryland from where I'm at. You go straight out 50 or around 404. Depends on if you want to go to the bottom of the Ocean City or to the top. So it was just like a big loop for us.
Mm-hmm.
We went back around, and I hit 2 more hot spots. One not so hot, one really hot. And then today we went to Pennsylvania. We were going up to the Utz factory, where they make Utz potato chips and south
Pretzels?
of the border. Yeah, potato chips, pretzels, everything.
Yeah.
And on the way, we hit 2 spots, and I would say both of them were pretty slick. Slick.
How many Goodwills in a row did you hit that had a Peter Millar that you sourced?
3 in a row.
3 in a row.
3 in a row. Yep.
I couldn't even find one.
The beauty of yesterday, we didn't even know it until we walked into the door yesterday. And I'm gonna age myself here. Yesterday was senior day.
I aspire.
Yeah, dude.
for-
Did you
for
need your
senior day.
AARP card or no?
Don't need it. They just looked at me and said, "Damn, your hair's gray." Okay.
Nice.
I mean, look at this.
Nice, dude.
Do they ever ask for your ID to confirm?
They said, "No, we don't need your ID." I said, "All right."
How do you get the senior discount? Do you have to ask?
I just
or do
asked
they
them. I said, "Hey, it's senior day, right?" And she said, "Yep." Bink, hit the button, and off it went.
Oh, dude,
I'm gonna have
so
to just
good.
find a senior to take with me, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%, dude. 100%.
Maybe.
That's good, dude. That's a good.
Take your
That's
father
a good
along.
like a couple
Right?
of days of sourcing while you were already doing what you're going to be doing anyway. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Like, yeah, I love that. Donnie.
Donnie said
Awesome.
sourcing's been awesome for him. He had an estate sale. I've never bought 100 hats at an estate sale. That is
Wow,
That is a good
is
deal right there.
absolutely incredible.
That's a lot of
Yeah,
hats for sure.
usually estate sales never have that many hats. I mean, you might find like 1 or 2, but usually I've never ran into the ultimate collector estate sale hat
Yeah.
grab.
Yeah, that's a new business rent a senior, dude. That's so good.
That's what I'm talking about. LWB.
Yeah, that is so
we
good,
can.
dude.
That's awesome.
LWB says we.
Hey,
can
I'm
rent
available for rent.
seniors.
I am available for rent. Anything to make
Dude,
$1.
that is so good. Heck yeah. Yeah, that's
Well,
that's a good way, like just in general, to, basically kind of carve out a little bit of your time in between things that you're gonna normally do, and like leave an hour early or whatever it is, and try to hit a spot or two on your way to dinner or on your way to your doctor's appointment or whatever. You know what I mean? Especially if you don't have like local sourcing. Lee, what's up,
Right.
big dog? If you
Lee
don't have
Hawkins,
local sourcing super
good to
close.
see you.
Yeah, good to see you, bro. Like, dude, that's perfect. You know what I mean? That's like we do
Yes.
a lot of that, Like
I used to.
a lot of our sourcing is pretty close, but
Yeah, I used to do it where. So I used to go to work at like 7 in the morning to try to avoid traffic, and then so I would get off at like, I don't know, 2:30, 3 o'clock, something like that, and pick out like a direction and 2 stores I wanted to hit on the way,
yeah.
and then they usually turn. If there's I tell you honestly, from work, if I go like to the west, up around the west side of DC, there's like 2 or 3 stores over there that are like mega stores,
Really.
and it's like, oh crap.
Yeah, I finally got back to the bins and went to the to our Goodwill too. Bins were okay. 0 hats. Back on the hat drought there, but they were okay. Found some decent shoes and been finding a lot of like sports equipment. Like and I don't mind picking it up if it's going to be decent money, like Bauer hockey gloves and helmets and like pants and stuff like that. Found some of that this week, and I don't mind picking that stuff up. I know sporting goods pretty well. Picked up a few bats and gloves and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't mind picking that stuff up, but no really hats to speak of. But
bats are good, dude. Bats are good. They can even
bats
be
can
like,
be really good.
They can even be like a little bit, beat up in the sense of like the paint is kind of coming off or whatever. They can be a little scraped or scratched, dude, and they could still be really good.
Yeah, you really want the composite. I think what you're really looking for on the bats. And I mean, yeah, you can get in the $50, $100, $200 range pretty easily on some of those bats.
Yeah.
They sell pretty.
I didn't know that, and until I don't know, 8 months ago maybe. That and baseball gloves, dude. Baseball gloves can also be like, I don't think I've ever really picked up any baseball gloves that were like, over $100, but I picked up a lot of baseball gloves that were like, $30 to $60 maybe. And
yeah, most of them just decent leather ones.
Good.
Yeah. If
they
you just get
pretty quick,
a decent leather baseball glove, Nike or Wilson or whatever is the easy $30 to $50.
Yeah.
Almost all the time, and people buy them because they want one that's already broke in too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that just only buy used baseball gloves that are in good condition because
I mean, you get that stiff new thing, man. You gotta wrap it up, oil it.
Yeah.
I
did want to ask, and I know this isn't necessarily part of our 3 things that we want to talk about, but I did want to ask if you guys had a better or a worse week on eBay this week than you did last week.
I had my best day about 4 days ago. The best day I've had in probably 2 months. But today and the day before, I think we've talked about it before. Holidays on eBay are typically terrible. The actual holiday. The week before the holiday is good. The day before. Because everybody that's buying online, they really need it before that holiday gets here. And then 4th of July sucks anyways, because everybody just spent all their money today at Walmart getting the food that they need. They don't really want to spend any more money on eBay, or they spend all their money on fireworks this past couple of days, and they're going to be broke until next Friday. A lot of
Yeah,
people,
next Friday.
and,
Unless you hit the payday loan stores, and they'll help
and
you
yeah,
out.
that will
You know,
help.
for
But
the low rate of 28.5%.
typically eBay is going to be pretty slow for the next 4 or 5 days for us. And it kind of go, but then what also sucks is July just sucks, period, because then we get into Walmart's also doing their kind of online thing. And when is Amazon's Prime
Thought I
Day?
saw it was going to be the 8th.
Yeah, I think Walmart and Amazon are trying to do their Prime Day next week too. So it's going to
8th to 11th is Prime Day on Amazon.
and that's going to be tough for us too. So we're in for a couple of weeks of kind of lower traffic on eBay. Usually, eBay they don't try to do anything really to counteract the Prime
They
Day.
just let the machine grind away and look at it as an annual thing, not a everyday thing.
So
I will say though, I had a surprise sale. Somebody popped in and bought 3 of those Nike polos I had listed. Bought 3 of the smalls, and I was like, "Whoa!" I thought I was gonna sit on them for a while, but it's just smalls don't move very well. But they popped in and grabbed all 3. I was like,
"Yeah, we were talking about last week with my store and all of the influx of like the women's items, and like, I was not concerned, but I was just like thinking that, hey, maybe part of like the slower than normal sales when I was doing it all by myself was because my algorithm was thinking like, dude, what in the world is going on with all of these items that aren't used to being in your store. And then dude, this week has been like insanely good. Like probably not only good, but I mean maybe one of the best total number of item sales like I probably have ever had.
Awesome.
Like, I'm sure the dollar amount is, I wouldn't be able to tell if it was like the best dollar amount or not, but I mean, it'd be close. I mean, there's a lot of like multi-$100 sales or whatever. And we've been popping them off between eBay, Poshmark, and Depop. Like, we're getting, I don't know, 3 or so per day on eBay and another 2 or 3 per day on Poshmark, on top of like, 6, 7s, and 8s per day on Depop or on eBay. So like,
that's
we had
good.
like 11, we sold like 11 things in an hour on Tuesday night. Dude,
That's
it was
good.
like,
I think that was the day that I had that was
like
really good.
Yeah, it's like 9 o'clock at night, and from 9 to 10, we sold 11 things. It was just like, I was like, dude, I've never, 11 things an hour is pretty good. So it was, and so like I was like, and the better part about it was that it was a lot of items that went this week were those new to my store items. You know what I mean? Those like women's things and purses and stuff like that or whatever. So I was like, well, maybe it's kind of catching on a little bit.
That's good. That's good
I
to
think
hear.
I think it's just the timing. I don't think it has anything to do with your
and like we went back and fixed a lot of the titles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I basically told Amanda, I was like, where I talked about a million times, the titles can be so much different across the platforms, and I was like, the cross list inside of Vendu, excuse me, you just do one title or whatever, and then it'll put that.
One title.
I was like, we need to go into eBay, and you have to make it. I've never been on Temu or Shein before, but when she pulled up those websites, their titles for their products are like, they're just keyword titles. You know what I mean? Like the title doesn't even necessarily make a lot of sense. It's just a shit ton of keywords inside the title that will get you, somebody's going to search up one of these 15 words. You know what I mean? And so I told her, I was like, basically copy that title, or like the way that it is, and then kind of mix it up a little bit to where it kind of makes a little more sense. Like the flow of it is a little bit better, but you still want like as many keywords as humanly possible inside of that title with the pertinent information that needs to be in the title anyway. And so we kind of went back and fixed a lot of those, dude. And they're going from 2 or 3 views in the last handful of weeks to like 30, 40 or sold views in the last week and a half. So like
That's good.
the title just like I've always done the titles, but
Sheen doesn't have a brand to rely on either. I mean,
Yeah.
they all they have is, I mean, nobody's going to go to eBay and say, "Oh, I really want a Sheen shirt today."
exactly. Yeah.
They're going to have to be looking for that keyword you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was telling you guys about with the way that she sources, because she's so connected with like, trendy young women's things that they aren't necessarily a brand driven item. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily a Ralph Lauren or a, like the recognizable, what we would consider good brands. And so, in order to combat that on the eBay side of things, because it does work well on Depop, but to combat that on the eBay side of things, I'm like, you have to put as many keywords about this thing as you possibly can, because the brand is not a sought after, it's not a searched for brand. It's the style is what's really searched for. And so and she does a really good job at like knowing the words for these things. So yeah, it was good, dude. It was good. It seemed it kind of got my brain back on track to being like, okay, cool. Like, we're not, this thing isn't becoming a failure. So
Yeah,
even though it's only been a month, but
Yeah. Lee says, does anybody put commas in their titles? I do not. I never have. It's waste of a character. You only get 80 of
I don't
them.
put apostrophes unless
Yeah.
I don't do any punctuation at all unless I have the room for it, because I just there's nothing else I can really say about this thing. So like if it comes up at, really, this is the one that I actually do try to do the most, is Levi's, the comma S.
And Cabela's.
Yeah,
That's
you know what
the
I mean?
actual brand.
Yeah, those are the ones that like I'll try to do, but there's other ones that like it. Like, men's XL is just like it might just be men, men XL or whatever, like even though it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense, they're still understanding it,
Marshall, do I owe you a reply on X? Do I need to check that out? I'll check it out after the show.
This guy's always leaving people on red, Marshall. Like we could be friends and he's leaving you on red.
My bad. I'll check out X. I have not been on much social media lately at all. I've been getting on to Instagram. I've been trying to hit like everybody's stuff as fast as I can, and then like all my friends' stuff as fast as I can, and then kind of move off. It just it can be such a time suck sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
X is even worse for me because I don't know. I get caught into the political sphere of everything, and that just sucks you in for an hour.
Drag you on down, yeah, dude.
Yeah, and then so my bad. I'll check out X.
Yeah.
No one's hiding, Lee.
Oh, Marshall, you're on the Cap Collectors.
There it is. Boom.
I'll contribute.
That's the brand new one.
Yeah,
all right.
Okay.
Let's check out. I've thought I need to do one. How did you feel? I mean, you kind of took a month off, Mike, and then you kind of came back. Did you feel like did you lose any ground? I was in your show most of the show. It felt like you still had just a really good contingent following, and like everybody just kind of came back and like you didn't miss a beat. Is that kind of how you felt?
Yeah, that's definitely. It was nice. I ripped a hat show. So we did a podcast last Thursday, right?
Yeah.
No, last Wednesday.
Wednesday.
And then I did a hat show the following day on Thursday night.
Still waiting.
Which was fine. It was 40, 50 people in there or whatever. Dude. Call Donald Trump. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Shit's in the mail. Freaking. So we did like, I don't know, 140 hats or something along those lines, 120 hats, whatever it was. It was a good show. And then the guy came in and freaking bought my Dale Earnhardt hat off my head. I don't know if you guys were in there for that one, but
I was
I
there for
missed that.
oh, dude, so the Dale Flame hat that I have, it's literally one of my favorite hats. I love the shit out of that hat. I think I paid $17 for that hat, and yeah, I love that
Did
hat.
it hurt
And
to
so,
pack it?
yeah, well, yeah, I'll tell you why it didn't hurt as much, because I had one brand new with the tags that I put in my Whatnot show for my 1 year show. I found one brand new with the tags. Instead of keeping that one, I decided to sell it because I already had the one that I already had, and I was wearing it. So it went for $65 in my 1 year show, right? Not bad. So Thursday, I'm wearing it. And this happens to all of us. You know what I mean? Everybody wants you to run what you're wearing. You know what I mean? It happens to all of us. And so he goes, "How much for the hat off your head?" And I go, "Dude, shoot me a price, and if I like it, I'll run it." He goes, "How about $100?" And I was like, "I'll run it for $100." But I have heard that, just like with that Callaway Sports Specialties that I wore in all my golf
Yeah.
shows for a while, people came in there often and were like, "I'll give you $80, $100, whatever," and I would take it off and I would run it, and nobody ever buys it, you know.
Right.
And so I told him, I said, "Listen," I said, "there's 50 people in there, whatever." I'm like, "This happens all the time. Nobody ever buys this crap. So we'll see." So I took it off, dude, and like timer goes all the way down to like 2 seconds or whatever, and he ends up buying it. And I was like, so he bought it for $100. So I was like, it's okay to go out the door for $100. I mean, I wore the shit out of that hat, dude. That was one of my favorite hats. So it was
It's
good.
in a lot of your posts too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to be the
So-
Debbie Downer, but that's like a $60 or $70 hat on
So
eBay,
like,
isn't it?
well, it's a $60 hat on eBay. So that's
Yeah.
why when
But on
I saw
eBay,
the
it's
number,
on Mike's head.
yeah.
But
So when I
it
saw the
doesn't
number,
have
I
the
was
sweat
like,
from the Glizzy champion.
yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Exactly.
You're
Because
fired,
I've already looked up that hat again after I got it the first time. And there were like some comps of like 60, $70 or whatever. And after I sold the hat on Thursday, I went on eBay to see if there was one available, and there was one for like $65, I think. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I could always go out and buy that one, but it's all about finding them at like the lowest possible price. So I'll come across another one at some point.
Right.
And then I did a show on Monday. I did a vintage show on Monday. That one went super well. I'm trying to figure out how. I don't really know the strategy behind it, but I'm trying to fit. So my max concurrent viewers for Monday was 67 people, right? And like, it seems like you start a show, and the first like maybe 15 minutes or whatever of a show, you're kind of on, you kind of hit maybe 25 or whatever, you're kind of climbing, but it's not, it's not something dramatic. And then somewhere like 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is, into the show, you kind of start getting up there, 40s, 50s, 60s. And then for a while, for like a good part of the body of the show, it'll be, pretty close to your maximum viewership. And then for no reason that I could think of, because I've staggered with really good items out from the beginning, middle, and end, it kind of drops off. It kind of goes back down to like that starting 25 people or whatever. You know what I mean? And then like you might get another little bump where it goes to 30 or 40, but like you kind of always, you don't really ever get back up to that like big high. So it was like that, we got up to 67, we held 60 for a good while, and then it kind of went down to 25 and 30 and so on and so forth, but everything still went well.
It's the new shows. It's the new show starting up. The time.
Yeah, and so I was thinking, because I was talking to my buddy about
people
it,
have a
and I was
bookmark
thinking,
and they go to them.
yeah, and so I was like, you know what? It was a 2 hour. It was like a 2 hour and 10-minute show, I believe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, at the end of the day, that's a lot to ask from somebody, to be like, hey man, you stay here and basically give me your undivided attention for the next 2 hours. You know what I mean? You can be the most entertaining guy in the world. You can have all the best shit. And there are some people for sure that's going to buy item 1 and item 140. You know what I mean? Like there will be people that are like that, but to hold the majority of the body of your viewership for over 2 hours, that's going to be really tough. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
but
that's
I
kind of
also
why
save up
my
so much
idea was
stuff.
always an hour show,
Yeah.
60 minutes
Yeah.
in an hour.
Yeah.
But
which is good. I just have this like basically like this, like I have a mindset of like accumulation, and then, you know, over the course of a week or two, or, you know, however long it takes, and then in one night it's all gone. You know what I mean? And then like
Yeah.
this mass accumulate, you know what I mean? And so when you do it that way, which I don't personally don't think it's the best way, but if you do it that way, your shows are always going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours. You know what I mean? So instead of being like this mass accumulation, and then I can go, you know, 100 items or whatever, you know, so, you know, and then just keep it to a smaller amount. But yeah, I also listen, everybody does. You also like to hit the
Mass
shipments at the
accumulation.
end. Yeah, you also like to hit the shipments at the end and see that, you know, there's like a very like a, you know, large number there, and you're like, hell yeah, you know. Versus
Right.
if you only did 50 items, it's only
Quite
50
honestly,
items worth of,
I really like the opposite, where I sell like 100 to 200 items and I see like 4 shipments. That's beautiful.
yeah.
I'll just jam all this shit in 4 boxes and be done.
Yeah. Well, I was
As we
talking
all know,
about
the
like I was
shipping
talking
part of
about
it-
that dollar sign number, not the shipment amount.
yeah,
the
yeah.
dollar sign
Yeah.
number. I like seeing
Yeah.
bigger
That's
numbers.
that.
you know?
Yeah.
So, and normally when you
Do
do
you-
50 items or whatever, it's not going to be as
first time.
large.
Do
as
you
that.
think that do you think you would have made more money though if you would have split it into 2 shows?
That's dude. If we got to test it, I don't, you know, I don't. It has to be tested, but it's hard to test it when you know, you can't run 50 identical. You know, you can't run 50
Right.
identical items and then 150 identical items. You know what I mean? Because shit's
Right,
gonna
yeah.
be, you're gonna have other different
There's
stuff.
going to be
and there's
some
people in there.
variance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
mean,
can tell you,
I'm-
these 2 racks behind me will not sell in one show.
No.
No.
I do want to hit
you could though if you
Marshall.
rip those things off at $1 a piece.
Yeah.
Easy, son. Easy. Easy.
No guts, no
Easy.
nuts.
Easy. Come on.
I do want to address
I would've-
Marshall's question here.
Well, I want to do that at $1.
That's a good one. Just
There
got
you
a
go.
couple of fake new air off of Whatnot. First time, do you guys see a fair amount of bogus merchandise on the platform? I would say there are a few that are known to sell them. I would say most of, if they're trying to sell them as new and you're getting a really great price on them, like $15 or whatever. There's this guy that sells, I'm not going to call anybody out here, but there's this guy that sells them on his show for $15 new, and he has a bunch of new era hats and a lot of bad feedback that says that this was fake and that was fake. But as far as like the hat people that actually do like more of the thrifting style of hats and they're just kind of collecting and thrifting, and I never got anybody intentionally trying to pass off fake stuff in kind of the hat community of people. There are some outliers on Whatnot that they kind of do their own thing and they're not really in the hat community or the kind of vintage community that I have seen selling the fake stuff. But a lot of time
that's a big thing in the luxury market as well on Whatnot. I mean, everybody knows the kid Blazendary, who is just, you know, slamming and killing it every time, and they tried to take him down for selling fakes. I mean, everybody hates a winner, right?
Right.
I mean, the kid's got his own style, let him be. But so now, I mean, to combat that, because he took a big hit and he got booted for a while they tried to figure it out. To combat it now, he's doing COA with every single item he sells. So
yeah, I don't think you should. Probably not on New Era hats, but they're doing COAs. I don't.
No.
But
the real shit.
Yeah, I just
you're always going to run into people that are trying to scam. You know, you're always going to have that.
And I just try to find the sellers that are more like us, that are thrifting and trying to find cool stuff that way. I don't really search out the people that are trying to sell brand new stuff on Whatnot. I think that's kind of, there's the people that do kind of palette stuff, and that's typically not fake stuff. But anyways, it's my 2 cents on the fakers.
Yeah, I will say too, Marshall, because he just said Whatnot really put up a fit on authentication when it was really clear, which I which I thought was odd. I will say in my opinion, one of the worst things about Whatnot as a seller too. I buy, not as much as Rob by any means, but I buy some stuff on there. And I mean, this guy basically supports the entire
That was
Whatnot
a bus.
app. But
That was that bus that just went right over top of me. I hope my wife's not
and
listening.
I will say that one of the worst things about Whatnot from a seller point of view is the lack of live support. On eBay,
Oh, yeah.
anything happens, you can call, you can live chat. There's so many ways to get real answers and real people right this very second. And with Whatnot, to open up a ticket and go through an email chain, and then it's 24 hours, and then they don't work on Fridays, and then all
gotta
these other
wait,
things. It because you can have a point that maybe you didn't put across the best the first time, and then you have to wait 24 hours to try to rebound because they're not understanding, or whatever it is. And so it is the most annoying thing, you know for buyers and sellers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I've
That's
never
unusual, Marshall,
bought
because they're
anything.
usually on the side of the buyer.
Yeah, I've never bought anything from there that I wanted to return. So I don't even know. All I know is that anytime that you engage in support on Whatnot, it normally is like, it's not a headache. It's just a long freaking time.
It's drawn out. Yeah, it's really
It's
a
drawn out. You don't get the, which, I don't know what Whatnot financials are, like, how successful of a business they are, or how much they are making, or whatever. But you would tend to believe that, there's a lot of people selling and buying on that platform, definitely. And you tend to believe that, they gotta be making money to where they can have live people there 24/7. Outsource it to somebody,
I
or
would think at
whatever you
least
got to
have a
do.
live. Yeah, at least have a live chat.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, I don't know why they don't, but it's frustrating for all of us. That's for sure.
For sure. So I do want to talk about doing pop-ups, because a lot of people will do some pop-ups over the next couple of days on Whatnot. It kind of ties into our other topic of holiday strategies. And what do you guys think of the pop-up? What would be your kind of strategy if you were going to just tomorrow at 2 o'clock and you didn't have any promotion or anything lined up really? How would you go about just opening up the shop with the 2 hours notice? What would you do?
I would make sure that my title was like it was like screaming that, like, if you don't get in here right now, you're gonna miss out on something awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it would be
Yeah.
in, like, I don't do all caps titles and all that other stuff, but it would be in all caps, and it would say, you need to get in here right now. And like, that's how I would, that would be like the first words of my title, because you have a couple thousand followers on there, or whatever it is. And so a couple thousand people are going to get a notification on their phone. And if they're going to look at it, it's going to say that hathouse 79 has just went live. And the title is, you need to get in here right this second. And they're going to be like, well, shit, dude, what? Like, I don't want to miss out on something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Can't miss
you know
out.
what I mean? Like, yeah. And then he's telling me, like, dude, if I don't get in here, like, I'm going to miss out on something cool. You know what I mean? So,
Hathouse is selling the house right now.
yeah, dude. Yeah.
The
Dollar
whole
start,
hat.
sudden death. So, you know what I mean? It would be something like that. At the end of the day, even with the largest of sellers, you know what I mean? Even with the largest of sellers, the Roachas out there and the guys that hold multi-hundred, people per stream, Roach has done a couple pop-ups the last 2 weeks or whatever, and he'll go in there and he'll have 100 people in there, which for him is a third of what a normal bookmarked, planned in advance show would be. So you
Right.
take that to a smaller scale, say you have on average 40 or 50 people in there, you know what I mean? A third of that, you got 20 people or whatever, you know what I mean? 15 people. So, I think you're still going to get, you're not going to get, as high of a viewership regardless. I don't believe, unless you just, you get lucky one day or something. But
Right.
my title would be
Oh,
screaming.
it depends on the timing. It depends on what
Yeah.
It also depends on what you're selling and how you fit into the category at that moment.
Yeah. What have
Yeah.
y'all noticed? I mean, going live on 4th of July at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night is probably not going to be the best thing to do.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. What have you guys noticed as far
Look,
as
I'm going to tell you something. I would not put it past the possibility that it's a really successful show. I would not. Not everybody gives two shits about going out and seeing fireworks anymore, and they'll sit here on Whatnot knowing they don't have to work tomorrow because it's a holiday. And if you have 80% of your streamers that say I'm not doing it during fireworks time, and you're the one guy that shows up, you've got a captive audience.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can shut the show down just as easily as you started. So if you pop up and 30 minutes later there's nobody there, say, hey guys, I appreciate you coming by. Let's go roll out, see the fireworks. But there could be a real good chance that you pop up and 200 people show up in your show because you're the only one there.
Yeah, I doubt there's very many people that it'll be on at that time. What about?
I'm telling you, you're going to be surprised. You pop on and look at it
At
and
9
see
o'clock
What do you-
tonight tomorrow.
see what's happening on Whatnot.
What do you guys think the average age demographic of buyers is on Whatnot in
That's
in
too.
the categories that we sell in primarily?
Our
Like if you
golf
just had to
and
guess.
vintage clothing.
Yeah, I mean,
mean-
golf is probably going to have a little bit of a higher age, I would imagine. But
I don't know. A lot of
vintage
young
hats
guys
and
in the golf
clothing.
now. I mean, look at the sellers now. They lean toward a younger crowd. So
I'm going to go with 20 to 40.
yeah,
20 to 40.
I'll stay.
male.
I'll stay in that range, 25 to 50.
yeah,
maybe.
and so which I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I always think I'm just thinking of it as like if that age demographic is true, how does it correlate with that age demographic and going out and watching fireworks? Do more 20 to 40-year-olds go out and watch fireworks than 55?
No, they'll be the ones that'll
70?
be on. The 30 to 40-year-olds are taking their kids.
Yeah.
The
So
20 to
basically-
30s and the 40s and over are going to be here trying to figure out how to calm their dog down because the neighbors are setting off M80s.
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
Yeah,
you hear it all the
that's
time.
basically
Jesus
how I
Christ,
would
don't
just-
mind the fireworks.
Yeah, that's just how I would look at it, you know.
Lee said no, they go
Like-
out and get drunk.
That may be
That's
true.
Man, they
kinda-
too.
sit at
That's
home getting
because-
drunk on Whatnot.
Yeah, because I'm in Key West and I'm 30 years old. Amanda's 28 years old. My father is 50, like a little over 50, and my stepmom is a little over 50, and all of us will be not at the house and on our phones at, say 7 p.m. Eastern, tomorrow night.
Well, yeah, but you're
You know what I
also away on a vacation.
Yeah, but it's like how many people are doing that, So
Challenge
I think the best
accepted.
thing-
we will
yeah.
we will log on tomorrow at 9 o'clock
That's it.
Eastern.
Hathouse
Yeah.
is doing a pop up at
Well,
9
I think
o'clock.
what Rob said too. I think what Rob said too is like it's also as true as anything else. Is that you pop up, and not even tomorrow, but just anytime, and it's 7 people or whatever because everybody is out doing their thing. It's like sell a hat or two or whatever, and then like, all right, guys, what like I'll catch you guys on the next one. You know what I mean? Like it don't matter. You know what I mean? Or like sell the ones that are just like, not going to be the most amazing things ever, and then just save all the real bangers for, whenever. Like,
Marshall asked the question, but I'm not sure what you mean by limited supply. I mean,
limited supply.
what's limited about that supply? There's a couple hundred polos right there ready to go. That's in 2 days.
What's ASP again? I know that's an active business.
Average sale price.
Average sale price. Yeah. Hey, Rob, it is funny when you were talking about
Marshall,
the,
I think it's more about the quality of the shirt and the type of sale you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Thrifting
yeah.
can be. I'll talk to that a little bit because I've talked to these guys about it before too, and I think I may have actually talked about it on here. Thrifting can be limited at times. You're going to go through those cycles. Obviously, you're going to go to your store. There's not going to be shit there, and you'll see. And as Mike pointed out, I buy the shit out of everything. I like to have enough stock to last me through those times. And that's why you'll see me buying stuff like in a consistent fashion. Or I'll be out on the street in a consistent fashion because, I don't want to do this giant show every week. I like the show that I do with the one rack, and it's a couple hours, and, we hang out and we always have a good time. But I watched the couple on YouTube called the Bearded Thrift Machine. I don't know what enough stock is. I don't have an answer.
That's always that's a individual. It's an
Relative.
individual. Yeah.
No, I don't base it on what I'm making a year. That just happens at the end of the year. We see where we are. If we have a good year, we have a good year. Unlike Hathouse here, I have a real job. Well, I'm sorry, I don't mean a real job. I have a paycheck.
Thanks, Rob.
I have a paycheck. No, because I was actually telling my wife how cool what you're doing is.
Dude, I hate it. Dude, I say that term all the time too, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, stop saying that term.
I mean, I don't mean
I used to work when I worked at the restaurant.
I still work for the man, where this man is his own man.
Yeah.
So
I think all of our terms are like real job is like you have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were just talking about it. It's like, you still got to drive around. You still got to do this. I said, right, you're just not working. You're not working for somebody. You're working for
100%.
yourself.
100%.
Tony Hernandez says, "Good evening, guys, from Big D." Hopefully that's Dallas.
Oh yeah, this guy's awesome. Whatever he's gonna say is gonna be amazing.
I have a question for Hathouse. I think he's trolling me. I don't know. The guy from Dallas.
Oh, he's definitely trolling you. He's definitely trolling.
I have some awesome OU merchandise, caps, polos from OU, but they don't sell too good.
Tradition.
Do you have that problem? I do not have that problem.
Because you don't sell OU shit.
Yeah.
No, it all gets stacked up there on the wall.
Yeah. Just email me after the show. Just send it all to me, and I'll figure out how to get rid of it for you. But OU stuff, of course, sells really well. But love a good troll. Hey, we got trolled pretty hard last week. I don't know. I don't know if everybody saw that, but
I don't know what that guy's name was, but I wish he would come back in here because he was awesome. And I wish there was a way to add them to the face, to the
I wish we could just put everyone on screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I just want to know what you look like. That's all,
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you guys, but
well, obviously Tony Hernandez is Captain America.
Oh yeah, dude. Tony Hernandez. Well, that guy's awesome. Listen, anytime anybody wants to come in here and talk shit about OU, it's the funniest thing in the world anyway. So, don't now talk about the Jags.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oklahoma is world champs now. So y'all can talk all the noise that you want to.
And I'll small on that hat.
Do what?
The logo is so small on that hat.
Oh no, it's beautiful, dude. This is the best looking championship hat. It's
the
huge.
biggest. It's the biggest logo on a hat. The biggest logo on a hat. That's so
You've
funny.
never seen a hat so beautiful.
I do want to. I just try to freaking.
Hey Tony, here you go.
I just try to scroll.
There you go, Tony.
There you go. I do want to. I do want for Marshall. It also your inventory also depends on what you're selling and how you sell it. You know what I mean? Like there is for us three. Well, I'll speak for me. For me and Amanda, we source so many things that we have the ability to sell multiple different ways. So if you buy, say, a vintage hat or shirt or whatever, you have the ability to whatnot it. You have the ability to eBay it, to Poshmark it, to Depop it, to yard sell it, to might as well have your freaking your leg shaver go off in the middle.
Is that a leg shaver?
What I mean? But yeah, well, that's what it sounded like. Was your buzzer? Your
shiatsu massager?
Yeah. So I think your inventory supply, what you consider to be enough of that inventory.
It's been a long while since I had an interruption.
Also, yeah, 2 podcasts. friggin' also has a lot to do with how you're going to sell it, because selling it on eBay potentially will be a lot slower than selling it on Whatnot or whatever. So you might need 5,000 pieces if you're going to sell them on Whatnot, because you can sell hundreds of them per day, versus you might only need 200 to hold you over for the week if you're gonna sell everything on eBay. So having enough inventory is completely dependent on you, and Rob does that. Well, Rob and Steven do that really well, whereas I do that really horribly. They always hold a good amount of inventory, and on my side, I get a lot of inventory, and then it's all gone, and then so then I have nothing. Like if you ask me to do a vintage shirt show right now, I have like 10 shirts. When on Monday I had 150. You know what I mean? And so it's just a different, it's such an individualized
And
thing.
see, and that's kind of what the guy was saying. Like and he's more in Steven's realm where it's his gig, and that's. But he got early on. This was a lesson that he learned, and he was sharing with everybody else. He got to a point where he was doing what you were doing, buying it and then selling it, buying it and then selling it, and then he hit like a skid for 3 months where there was nothing he could find worth buying to sell. And, burned through his reserves at that point. And, if thankfully, he said, thankfully for him, it picked back up and he got back on track. But then he got to the point where it was like, I'm going to start buying more than I need to sell just in case this happens again. That way he has that to fall back on in those tough times of finding stuff. I'd also say
people basically just call it a death pile, but it's it's almost like having a
well, I think
savings
death.
account.
I think
If
death
it's
pile.
cleaned and it's processed and it's
Yeah.
ready to list, I don't
Yeah.
think it's a death pile.
Yeah,
if it's
I think
ready
there's a
to
difference
go.
between a death pile and reserves.
If it is
death
just
pile's been
piles of
around a
dirty
while.
laundry sitting in the corner, then that's a death pile to me.
I think
Yeah.
Steven.
I think it also depends
Steven,
on
did
how
you
much
see?
room you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steven, did you see what Marshall said? Because your store's so large that I bet you'll have a better answer to his question.
Yeah, he asked, with a bunch of inventory, does a markdown strategy play a significant role in your stores? Yes. So I have everything in store categories by age. So anything that's like 6 months to a year old, maybe has like a 50% markdown. Everything that's from like 3 months to 6 months, I have like a 40% markdown. Everything that's just like a couple of months old, I'll have a 20% markdown. And then everything that I just listed like last month, I put on a 10% markdown today. So I just do it by store category. So I put everything into like a dated store category. Everything this month is going into July 25. And so then that way next month I'll know that everything in store category July 25 is going to go on markdown. What I didn't do that for was for the earbuds, though, that I started putting in the store. I'm probably not going to mark those down traditionally, because they have a pretty good, like, it's different than a vintage hat. So an earbud is kind of more of like a commodity that has a set pretty good price to it and a sell through. So I'm just going to make sure I stay within the market on those items. I'm not going to go like a 20 or 30 or 40% markdown on the things like the earbuds. Now, I will have to review it every now and then to make sure I'm still in the market, but it's the clothing. I just feel like you got to progressively mark it down, because maybe it wasn't as cool as you thought it was, or maybe it's just not in style, or it just wasn't as good as you thought it might be. So you need to go ahead and move through it. But the earbud side, I think I'm going at it a little differently. I'm not going to progressively mark that stuff down, because I have a lot of multiple quantity listings on that stuff too.
Boom. There you go. That's from a guy that has like a multi-thousand item store, by the way, who's been doing it full time for couple years.
Huge.
Supports his whole family.
Huge.
Supports his whole family. Has the realest job, unlike the rude comment that Rob made. So, you know.
God, dog.
For sure. So what do you think? Is it going to be worth?
Wow.
We get like a fee discount over the next couple of days on Whatnot too, right? It's 4%. Is that right?
Yes, it's 4%. So what they do is they take your 8%. I know we always say it's 13 to 15%, and it's something you have to realize. There is an 8% commission, then there's a 2.5% commission, then there's a fee, and then so on and so forth. So that's how it builds up to 13 to 15%. But what they're doing is they take that base 8 and cut it in half for the 4th and 5th of July to, get us to go on. And I did one of these early on in the golf one. I think it was Masters. It was the Masters one. They did one something like this. I think it was 0 fees actually, because golf was new at that point. We'd only been a golf category for less than a year. By then, I think I'd been on for 6 months. And the Masters one was phenomenal. They did another one afterwards, and quite honestly, it was a shit show. I was on this one that they did, and it was so bad. It was so. I'm gonna tell you something. I
Dead?
was having
Bad?
but no. It was packed with people, because it was packed with sellers too. But it was across the entire platform like it is this time. And at this point, they were still, this is about a year ago, they did a 0 commission day for all sellers and literally crashed the app. I'm literally having one of my best shows ever, and it crashed the app. I mean,
Too much traffic.
Down hard, yes. Servers went down hard. And, we're trying to get it back on, we're trying to get it back going and everything. It's just, there was maybe 2 or 3 golf sellers that were on at the time that were able to re-energize their show because they never shut it off or anything. You're supposed to have a 2-hour window to restart the show. That didn't work out because they had to restart all the servers, and nobody knew where their 2-hour window was. So it was a nightmare.
So do you think it'll be worth 4%? Is it worth 4% to do it?
Yes, it is. It is worth it if you hit it right. Okay, if you have a shit show, you're gonna have a shit show at 4% or 8%. That doesn't matter. So if you end up having a shit show, that's what it is. If you have a good show and you see this is why I loaded up. I'm going for broke on it, and it'll be a good show. It'll be well worth it in the end.
Yeah.
All right.
Micro brands seem to have decent sales rates. Yeah, here stuff to keep an eye out for. Macad, Bogey Bros, Sunday Swagger. The first one I've never heard of. The last 2 are definite bolos, especially Sunday Swagger, because it's less prominent than Bogey Bros is. But Bogey Bros is like just cashing a check because everybody loves it. Speaking of which, Bogey Bros is so good. Here's what happened. There is a group on Whatnot right now, and I'm not calling any names out. They are literally selling Bogey Bros shirts with their tag on them. I tell you that because if you look at the Bogey Bros shirts, it's an imprinted. They go the extra mile and get the imprint. These guys have a freaking tag on it, and it's like that's exactly a Bogey Bros shirt. It's the exact same patterns. If you had Bogey Bros website up and you looked at every shirt they would put up there, you could find it right on their website.
Yeah, that's called Whatnot China.
Yes. They found out where they're having them made, and they're just repopping them with their tag on it.
All right.
Yes.
So Bogey Bros is a great bolo. I think it's time.
All right, well, let me continue on that because I do have another one Marshall might like.
It's polo time. Drop your favorite cash find. Raiders keep you informed.
It's bolo time.
Polos can't be ignored.
Oh, I can't hear
And
it.
don't be afraid to bust out your rap.
I literally can't hear this.
All right.
All right, so Marshall, here's another one along those lines. Pins and aces.
Oh, I haven't found that in forever, but yeah.
Yeah, pins and aces. Now they have a bunch of regular ones, we'll say. I mean, they're all nice prints and stuff like that. But if you find the nicer ones with the alternate hits on them, like this NASA one, they have a few others that are just wicked to have. They have like 125% sell-through rate, and they're always going to sell in the $40 to $50 range. Depending on where you're at with your coolness. Their regular shirts, $25 bill all day long.
How much do they retail for? Are they like $100 shirts in the store, or?
I think on their site they're 80. Let me look and tell you real
And
quick.
they still sell for 50 or 60? That's awesome.
Let me see. Don't quote me yet. Men's. They have these new ones they call player preferred. Yeah, $70. $70 brand new in the store. So
I haven't found it. It's been probably 2 years since I found a Pins and Aces shirt.
now I'm gonna give you something off the wall that we've never talked about. Although I have talked about bags on here before. LL Bean boat and tote bags.
Oh yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I told Mary not to get it the other day.
Oh, you told her that?
$200?
Dude,
That's
no.
That's the regular one. That's the regular one. Check out this one, the magenta and lime green.
But
Okay,
it has
this is
somebody's
more of a special
name
one.
on it. Like,
Who cares?
oh,
Who cares?
my
That's
gosh.
that's like having a vintage Carhartt with somebody's embroidery on it. Nobody cares.
Find this one.
Are you serious?
Find
Oh,
this
dude, yeah,
$200?
boats and totes. Yeah, the boats
I
and
threw-
totes are gas.
These are
Oh
so
my God.
I'm showing you.
I
Yeah,
threw one back for real
yeah,
2 weeks ago.
yeah.
She was
Yeah,
like, look at
boats
this
and totes.
boat, yellow
you
bean.
can-
LL Bean
bag.
boat and tote is the shit.
Yeah, yeah. The vintage ones do well. Like, yeah, boats and totes
Yeah, Marshall-
are like great. They're great. But
We didn't have to
dude,
show you that, Marshall.
this is the best part about this whole thing is that we can never know about everything. You know what I mean? Ever. Like until we die, we will never know about everything. And now the next time that that Steven or Mary picks up a boat and tote, guess what? $200, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
that's
like you'll
totally
find
my
them
fault.
too. They're not the most
even
rare
if it has
thing
a
in the
name
world.
on it, that's $100 bill.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not. They really are not the most rare thing in the world. Like they're not.
That
You're not
LL
picking them
Bean
up.
tote is $100 bill. Easy.
Yeah, yeah. And,
I just
and
told
they
Mary.
sell super good too. Like they sell quick.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, she's
it's
looking
not
at
a-
You should see the
Very
death
fast.
stare that is coming from.
They sell
Yeah.
fast, and I think the
They sell
sell-through
very
on it
fast.
is like 150%.
yeah, yeah.
You feel
They're
the
like
quality on
they're
it.
really good
On which one, Marshall?
on the boat and tote.
The
They're just
boat and tote, you can definitely,
canvas,
you can
right?
definitely
Yeah.
feel. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
canvas. You can definitely feel it.
Yeah, yeah. They're nice. Like it's not like a super light, like kind of BS thing or whatever.
All right. Did you have one, Mike?
Here, I'm gonna drop two on you because we'll go a little outside the box for the day. Because like I've been talking about, we've been having a lot of women's clothing being uploaded into our store, and obviously, I'm sure the three of us know very, very, very little about women's clothing. So here's a couple good ones from the last handful of days. This is called Johnny Was Los Angeles.
Johnny was.
Yeah, it was $55. It sold very fast, maybe in just a couple of days or whatever. It sold for full price. This is what the tag looks like on it. It's actually it's a large tag. So on a lot of things that I don't know about, this is not an always, but a lot of things that I don't know about, if they put the time in to have like a pretty intricate, like a large tag like that,
Right.
It's usually just worth looking up, you know. So that one sold for $55 plus shipping, and like I said, it sold pretty quick, and it's like an all embroidered shirt. And then this is the other one, which I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will know about this, but these, because they're also a women's thing.
No shit. Red Ox carry-on bag.
How do I get to the? Okay, well here.
Take your time.
It sold for 30% off, but these are Viore. It's like a woman's.
Oh,
and I don't know if they make.
Viore
I
is
don't-
the shit.
Yeah, I don't know if
Men's
I don't know a
shorts,
ton
too.
about them. Okay, so they do make men. So these ones are
Yeah.
women's, and this is the weird part is that they're women's 2XL. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of an odd size, but
Bro,
they
anything
sold.
Viore.
Okay, they sold for $42 plus ship, and like same thing. These sold like insanely quick. So those are the two, and I do just want last one because this is a rare one. I mean, anybody's gonna pick this up when they see it, but I was pretty proud of this one. But I got a 1985.
Wham!
Yeah, the George Michael.
Before
the
you
George
go,
Michael Andrew. Yeah, this is the back of it, dude. It sold really good. So that one I probably only had up for I probably only had that one up for 2 weeks or so. And there was only one other listing, no sold. The other listing was for 175, and it was super stained. And so I put that one up for 150. Doesn't have any stains on it. It's in really good shape, and it sold in a week or two or whatever. So
yeah, you
and
just
I got
never
that for
know about the
$1
vintage
or
band
something.
shirts, where to be,
Yeah.
whether
So-
where they
Apparently,
come in high,
everybody nowadays wants all the shit I grew up with.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
should've
what,
kept it all.
I mean, if you could have only kept it, So those are some cool ones because I still don't look for women's clothing because it's just not something that I necessarily enjoy going through. But you always see stuff in piles at flea markets or whatever. So there's some kind of off the wall ones that sell really well. Quick.
Yeah, anything Viore is hot, man. I traded that hat I just showed you for a Roback
Oh yeah.
that I sold in Saturday's show for $35.
Yeah, dude, people were going.
And then, hey, hat, you recognize this hat?
Me?
I
mean, it's just a
Chicago
47
Cubs.
brand. Yeah, 47 brand. Yep. I sold a Roback hat for $35.
I think
The
I still
Cubs hat
have a
sold-
Roback hat.
The Cubs hat sold for $34.
What? Why? Feels
Because
like
there
money
was some-
laundering over there.
Because there were some people in there that really wanted that.
Yes, there were.
Hey,
that
you know what that hat would have gone for on eBay, Steven? Tell us.
$12 max.
Well, yeah, max.
The Cubby?
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
after
just
you
happened
probably
to watch
declined a
them
couple $4 off.
Talking about I just happened to watch him talking about baseball stadiums, and somebody said something about a couple people said something about the Cubs,
Yeah.
and it just happened to be sitting off to the side. I went, "Hey, a couple Cubs fans here, bam!"
Bam.
$35.
$35.
That was like a flex
30.
fit hat too, right? Was that a flex fit? It looked like
I don't
it.
think it was just a standard.
Rob is just a
47.
superstar in the whatnot realm. We're
Yeah.
just
Yeah, that guy's an absolute freaking maniac.
we're just lucky
No,
to
it
be
was
here.
just a standard 47 hat. There was nothing different, nothing special about it.
Steven,
All right,
hit us
here's
with some
mine.
good ones, huh?
Boom.
Hell yeah.
$80. This Gorin Brothers was amazing. And I got lowballed on this hat for months. I was not going to take this is the coolest Gorin Brothers hat that I've ever seen in my life. And I was
It
not
really
letting it
is.
go for under $70. It wasn't going to happen. I got like $30 offers here and there, over and over again. So, but finally sold it. Gorin Brothers. This was the poker face hat, had a hyena on it. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
That is a really cool hat.
Yeah, it's a really good hat.
And it was real too. It was real. Gorin Brothers does get ripped off a lot. And let's see. I got one that I didn't sell, but it's kind of a bolo check out. Have you ever seen this brand?
Dude, oh, I have such a good story about this brand, but I'll leave.
I just found out about it this week. Golden Goose shoes, and supposedly the dirtier looking the shoe, the better the shoe actually is. And just learned about it actually from our mail lady that we're talking to all the time in there about thrifting and stuff. Said she found some at the bins, and I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know that this was a thing. They said they found a couple of them, but what's your story?
Dude, so this is a year ago. Amanda and I, probably long. Amanda and I had only been doing this for a handful of months, right? We go to a yard sale. Obviously, I don't know about these, right? We go to a yard sale. I'm looking through some stuff or whatever. Amanda goes over to this little shoe rack, and there's these shoes, except they were white and gold, right? And they like, because I don't know about them, they looked destroyed. Like they looked totally destroyed, dirty as shit. Like I was like, what in the world? She asked the lady how much she wanted for them, and the lady said like $40, I think, or something like that. It wasn't like a $1 thing. And dude, she like buys them, and I'm like, so we get back in the car. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, those look horrible. And she's like, oh my God, dude, like you have no idea what I just found. And I'm like, yeah, you found dog shit shoes and you paid $40 for them. And dude,
Right.
while we're driving to the next place, she looks them up, and they were like $400 and something shoes. And then by that next weekend, they were already sold for full asking price on Golden Goose's white and gold ones that looked trashed. I was like,
Right.
oh my God, dude. After that, I was like, dude, that was a sick pickup, dude. I was like, that's freaking, I was like, dude, that's like awesome. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I didn't know
one.
anything about them, and then supposedly the worse they look, the better.
Yeah,
Is-
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the
it
way
blew my
goes these
mind.
days.
It blew. They looked like terrible Converse. I was like, it blew my mind. It was incredible. The hobby spot said, how do you clean up vintage hats with foam that is breaking apart?
I have a couple of videos about it. Let me take it from the top here. There's lots of hat cleaning questions. We can get to them before we log off here. First, Bear asked, I have 3 black vintage hats, and when I'm on the starch step, I can't get them to dry without having the white patches when they dry. A couple of things I do. One, try just starching it from the inside, so it's not showing on, it's not like sticking to the wool on the outside. Sometimes I'll just starch the inside of the wool hat if it's really bad. The other one, somebody else said it. Sometimes I will kind of brush the starch in before it dries, if it is on the outside, and it usually doesn't show that way. But I would just starch it on the inside. It's usually the best way to do it.
I will say, Z-Bear, if you do the brush, that works out great. Do not use a stiff bristled brush on wool hats when you're brushing that starch, because
For sure.
use a soft
The really
bristled
soft
brush.
ones.
I like, like the ones that they use to like freaking shine shoes or whatever. They're real soft. Those work out great. Do not use like a brush that you would scrub your bathtub with or something like that, because
Right.
it tears up that wool.
Yeah, for sure. There's one more.
Rob has
question.
something awesome that he's going to show us.
What do you got, Rob?
Go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, I was looking up the Golden Goose, and this happened like last 2 weeks ago when we talked about something. Look at this. See
Yeah, those
him?
are incredible. What are those
Rare
for?
golden
$1,000 or
gooses.
something?
10 grand? Woo!
Dude,
Let me know if
like,
it sells.
I ain't got it, dude.
And then the other question was about foam on the inside of hats. The best thing that I have found is a water hose and just to spray them out. And then to get a hat shaper, I sell them. Or you can get any hat shaper and then just kind of shape the hat up, let it dry. If you want to shoot some starch on it at that point, then you can. But the best way I found is you can suck that foam out with a vacuum cleaner. It doesn't work the greatest.
I like how you said that word.
Which one?
Vacuum cleaner.
Suck. You can suck that foam out, or you can just spray it out. Usually the way we do it is we'll get like 20 trucker hats that need to be cleaned out at one time. Mary will go out there and she'll spray them all down. Just try not to get the bills too wet because the cardboard will sometimes go bad. She'll spray them all down, and then I'll come by and I'll pick them up, and then I'll put them on the shaper, and then we'll let them all sit out and dry and try to do them in a batch like that. But Vanna White,
Yes, that big, huge emphasis on. I don't know who asked that. Who was it? Marshall. Big emphasis on don't get the bill soaking wet. If if your hats are like, I mean, what do you say, Steven? Like from the 80s and earlier or whatever, they're probably going to be a cardboard bill, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So if they're super old, you'll be able to. You can tell easily too, because if you flick the bill of that hat and then take one of your new hats and flick the bill of that hat, it'll sound a lot different if it's cardboard and if it's like the plastic composite material that we have. If you have the cardboard, especially on light colored hats, white, really white's the big one, because the brown from that cardboard will bleed onto the white material that's covering it up, and it's just a pain. You can get it out, but it's just a pain in the ass. So do your best to not. With me personally, if we have a hat that doesn't need a lot of cleaning but just needs that foam removed, that's when I go to the shucking it right out of there. Or you can just take you like a brush or whatever, and you can kind of brush it on out of there and kind of pat it off or whatever. It depends on at what point like that deterioration of the foam is. But yeah, so just be careful. Be really careful with that, with the cardboard brims, because even if you do get them wet and they are a dark hat, they'll warp and kind of look weird, and they'll be flimsy, and it never kind of stays
wavy.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So you do have to be careful with the those really old covers. But if it's not super old and it has that plastic in the brim, you can soak it all you want. It don't matter. So boom.
For sure.
I let the patch bleed all over a hat. What a mess. If you have that, you can do that RIT dye remover. That works out well, Marshall. And if you have a light colored hat and it bleeds, take a Q-tip and some LA's Totally Awesome. You can buy it from the dollar store for $1 in a giant bottle. Don't spray it on there everywhere, but just take the LA's Totally Awesome with a Q-tip and rub that LA's Totally Awesome over that color bleed and leave it out in the sun. And it'll take a vast majority of that out of there. So,
yeah, the sun is your friend on white hats for sure.
The sun is your friend on white hats. Yeah, definitely.
It helps out a lot.
Yeah, just be careful with the colored parts of it, because it can fade them out pretty quick if you leave them out there for too long. So,
all right, episode 14, we got to cleaning some hats on this one. It was a good one. Holiday, everybody enjoy their 4th of July. Hope you guys have a good one.
Absolutely. Everybody be safe.
Gonna catch you on Saturday, Coach. Is that right?
Saturday night, 7 p.m.
When are we gonna see you next, Fired Up?
You'll see me.
Just when you see you.
Yeah,
we'll see you when you see you.
Me. Thanks for everybody talking in the chat too, dude. It makes this way more fun and informative when people are freaking popping off in the chat. It's literally a great time.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun to interact.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. We'll probably be back next Wednesday or Thursday, more than likely 7-8 o'clock ish. I'll try to get them scheduled out a little bit better so y'all can hit the notification bell. But we'll see you guys around on Whatnot, eBay, and back here next week. See ya.
See ya.
See you guys.